What is up, everyone? Welcome to Family Hot Dish. This is a channel where it's all about our family. We do vlogs and stuff too, but I want to do a topic video today, and the topic I wanted to do is the family dynamic changing when one of your kids is diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I'll go through like sort of how long it's been, what happened, and sort of the trials and tribulations and just everything about the dynamic switch. Our now 7-year-old, he was 6 when he was diagnosed. His birthday was actually literally like a month and a half later. He's had it for about 4.5 months since his diagnosis. Just giving a little background. Out of all of our kids, my wife has said this before too, he is the one that would listen the best. Maybe our 18-year-old as well. But he's the one that will actually like, oh, okay, that's why I got to do this, is because of that. You know, our girls, our little girls, and then we got a 10-month-old too. We have 5 kids. But out of all of them, he is the one that would be the most understanding and reasonable. That's first and foremost. Now, the day we found out, how we found out is he was wet in the bed for a couple weeks. We finally were like, you know what, let's get him in. Let's go see what's going on. Because it was, you know, he was 6, about to turn 7. Hadn't wet the bed for a long time, obviously. So it was just weird. We're like, all right, thinking maybe UTI or just something, you know, whatever. And so actually I was in the doctor's office. You know, he finally went pee. You know, they did a little finger prick, blood work, stuff like that. My wife was sitting there on my chart. That's where you can see what's going on with the tests and stuff before. So before the doctor even came back, after they were doing all the tests and stuff, and I'm sitting there, my wife's like, oh gosh, this is high, this is this, or whatever, naming things off. And she's like, I think it's type 1 diabetes. And I remember just sitting there and just, you know, as a parent, just this chilling feeling of like, you can't really explain it as a parent. So then I was geared up for the doctor to come in, right? The doctor comes in and she's like, you know, I never like giving this news, but, you know, it's type 1 diabetes, whatever. And I remember just this feeling that I got, and it's so hard to even explain. It's not even like when someone you love passes. It was just like this, my whole body sort of tensed up, and I didn't really even know how to react. And I just like this feeling of tension in my neck and body, and not even at that moment either fully understanding, like, I know what type 2 is. I know my cousin has a buddy who has had type 1 his whole life, but he didn't do good with it. Like, I'm saying, like, take care of himself. He did a lot of things that aren't good for you. I'm not going to get into his story at all. And I know he lost his leg at 37. So those are the things that are going through my head. And so when she told me, I like sort of went to the corner because my boy didn't even know I did, but I was crying because he started tearing up, and it was just so. And he's so smart for being 6, turning 7 soon, but he knew what was up. And she was like, do you understand what's going on? And he explained to her, yeah, I have type 1 diabetes. And then this was so soul crushing. She said, do you have any questions, after she was explaining some stuff to my son, Rowan? Do you have any questions? And he said, will it ever go away? So when that was like his only question, obviously that was just devastating and hard to hear. And I think I started crying more, but I was sort of keeping it hidden. And I'm not saying like you shouldn't, you know, cry in front of your kids, not at all, but it's more just like, you know, in the moment I didn't want him fearing, you know, I didn't even have a full grasp or knowledge of this, of type 1 diabetes. And I will get into the dynamic. I was just sort of trying to say like how it happened and when we found out and what it was like. And because if you're going through this, if any of this experience can help somebody, or if they see this and they're like, oh, this is what we went through, or this is how I felt, or people could comment their experience. So anyways, the family dynamic, like instantly, obviously, you know, we're doing all this research, we're finding out, oh, you can't do this, or you can do this. Oh, this is bad. Obviously, one of the first dynamics was, you know, he would say things like, well, I'm not normal. And we'd say, yes, you're normal. And then he'd say, well, all my siblings can have X, Y, and Z. And what's funny is at first I was like, well, it's just different right now. You know, you got to eat different. And anyway, so moral of the story, though, then it dawned on me that he was completely right. So this is a dynamic switch. I took all the junk food, I put it in a box down in the 18-year-old's room, you know, and I told them they could have only one treat here and there, you know, like they had to, like, just like him. with his levels and what was going on. And we were doing shots forever. And actually recently he just got on the Omnipod where he doesn't have to do shots. So he's been eating like crazy, which is awesome to see. So he's going to gain so much weight. His first week he gained, I think it was 2.5 pounds or something, even being on shots. But we noticed with shots, he would like to debate if it was worth it to eat. Now, there are a lot of free things too. I have a nutritional video that I did as well, but there are a lot of free things like protein, eggs, string cheese. I'm not going to try to go down that rabbit hole of like what's free and what's not, and what, because I that's not what this is about. It's more about the family dynamic. And so that was a big switch of just like, telling all the kiddos, well, yeah, we're gonna eat good now. Like, it's just the way it is. Now, obviously, since he got the Omnipod and it's not all about shots, he's gotten to eat a little bit more naughty, but we're still, on everything that is supposed to be healthier. Now, also balancing the attention aspect, because like I said, we have 5 kids. We have 18, 8, 7, 3, and 11 months. So like also, because at first that's all I thought about, and my wife could probably attest to it, was his situation, him. We did homeschool him, so that was a dynamic switch. So the dynamic of you have to have that equal, I'll get into the schooling, but you have to have that equal balance of attention, even though clearly one of your kids needs a lot of attention. I mean, it's obviously, and obviously none of the kids were bad, but I did talk to my 8-year-old at one point and I said, I know Rowan's getting a lot of attention, and she was understanding about it. And I just said, just so you know, it's not like we're just focusing on him only. Not thinking she was even being like that. I just wanted her to know, like, it's not like going to be like this forever, because we're going to keep learning, and which we have now. That the balance is great now, what I mean? That's why, like, when I was bringing up school, but I wanted to pause on that and talk about it now. So then school for him, he went one day. He did take a week off of school, obviously, with all of it and the news. And he was a highly academically good student, too. Like, all the teachers, he won an award even for his whole class. Not just his class, his whole grade for a month. He was that good. And so that's why it was harder for me to homeschool him. My wife was actually really excited. She bought all this curriculum, did all this research, went to this one course even. Like, she was all into it. And I wasn't against it. It just was like, gosh, because I wasn't that good at school because, I just didn't put the effort. My 8-year-old daughter, she still, does good. But she reminds me of the way I was. And my now 18-year-old, he reminds me of how I was as he got older. But he was really good academically, too. But anyway, so that dynamic, having one kid homeschool, so that does switch dynamics. And sometimes that's not always bad. Well, we like it. Like, my wife is going on vacation with him, the 11-month-old, and the 3-year-old Luna, because he can. At first he cried though, and he's like, why is not everyone else going? Well, the other 2 kids are at public school, and so Dad obviously works too, but I stay home. And that's the dynamic too. She's a stay-at-home mom, but she was doing hair before that, and then sometimes she'll do door dashing and spark driving. Just a little background of what it's like when I get home. Yeah, so that's a dynamic. I'm going to keep thinking. Usually I do like writing things down, but this just came to my mind while we were out here on the swing, so I just wanted to do this video. But let me think about some more dynamics that change. Well, this is something that isn't like a little thing. It matters, but it's just something interesting to bring up, like the dynamic of, like, when you're getting 5 kids ready to go out, or 3, or however many kids you have, usually you just got to think about, okay, they need their clothes, they need their just the normal stuff, their shoes, their socks, the game. But when you add the type 1 diabetes, you're like, oh, I need to grab juice boxes, I need to have fruit snacks. How many do we need? How long are we going to be gone? I go to grab the Omnipod 5, the Omnipod and the Dexcom obviously changed a lot of that. But when it was just shots and the Dexcom, it was like, and like at first, obviously, right away, we didn't have the Dexcom. We got it after like 2 days, though. It was crazy. But the dynamic of, okay, what if we go out here? Okay, what kind of food is at this place? And, here's the dynamic with that whole food situation being on the go. One time, we went to a McDonald's. We gave him his bolus. That's a shot. And we go and, boom, closed. Not open. Looked open as ever, too. We had to rush to a Dairy Queen to get him something. So that's what I mean. Those are the types of things that, you know, and it's not all bad. Like what I'm saying, like we are so chill now already after like 5 months or whatever it's been, like to where, yeah, we'll bring some oranges, we'll bring some things with fruit snacks, juice box, but we don't even think about it. It's just another thing you throw in the purse. He was on shots for, you know, a solid 4.5 months or whatever it was. The Omnipod 5 has just been like a week now or something, and it's been amazing. But that's a dynamic too, is just going places. Like even when she went on vacation, we had to look up how soon the sensor's done, how soon the you know, how many Omnipod 5s we have. It's just you have to, like, that's a dynamic that I wanted to point out. It's like, it's such a part of your life that even the dynamics of doing stuff, yes, obviously it's a huge factor. The dynamic switch of him not being able to, not that he can't, you can do anything. There's professional basketball players, there's been professional hockey players. So the reason I say that is because, like, when he's really active, he plays a lot of his VR, and he does a really active Gorilla Tag. But what I'm saying is that we have to even be, that's something totally, like on his birthday, because remember he was diagnosed and then about a month later it was his birthday, but he was running around with his buddy and his siblings, and boom, all of a sudden he dropped one of the lowest drops we had, and it was so scary. But that's what I mean, like that's a dynamic switch to where, like, you know, before when he's running around, or all your kids, you're not even thinking about that. But now when he's running around or doing stuff anywhere or whatever he's doing, you're thinking about that. So that's a big dynamic switch. So that's something to think about too. I'm hoping too that this video isn't starting to just sound negative, because none of this is supposed to be negative, what I'm saying. And I'm not even meaning it, and I'm not trying to mean it negative. I'm just saying some of the dynamic switches. So these dynamics that I'm saying, I'm not saying these horrible dynamics. Like, I'm just saying these dynamics that change, and you know why they're the way they are, and you know what makes them the dynamics of that switched is what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm gonna think a little bit more, see if I can think of anything else, any other dynamic switch. Here's a good one I thought of. I was just sitting there trying to think of stuff. The dynamic switch of your personal romantic relationship. Because, you know, I'm a little bit different the way that I am about, you know, bolusing, and that's giving shots his numbers and just this and that, and, you know, just differences of opinion, but not really. We're pretty much on the same page of this and that and health, but that is something I notice, like I can be a little bit more carefree, not freaking out, and she doesn't freak out a lot. And that's good that she's like that. I like that. That's why I like her handling it more. But, and I'm not saying I'm not cautious and stuff. I'm just saying it's a factor too that I've noticed, or a dynamic switch. So it becomes part of your relationship too with your significant other. On this channel, I always talk about all the real stuff, and I mean, it can even affect your romantic relationship. Like I'm talking romantic, because obviously there's late nights, there's nights that you're up. Sleep does become different to you, because, like, for instance, the other night he wanted food at the end of the night. That's why we're doing a cutoff time, because you don't want to give shots and bolus right before bed. It's just obvious reasons. And so I had to stay up till like 3, until I felt like his numbers were appropriate. And obviously with having that dynamic, that can affect your personal relationships and just your life, and you know, so, and that's completely fine. So I'm not saying that's bad either. Just everything changes, and I'll think of more maybe and maybe not, but we're checking the mouse traps. We have safe mouse traps too, where they just get caught, so the kids love them. Well, I'd say that's it for this one. We covered some good topics, right, buddy? I think that we got enough covered for dynamic switches and the changes in your family when you have a kid diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. But yeah, everything's going great now. It kept going on the up and up, and now with the Omnipod 5, everything's just so nice. But yeah, that's it for this one. I hope someone got something from this, or if you're new to it, or if your kid was recently diagnosed, or if you've been in it for a while and it's just, you know, you're not alone out there. Oh, my other baby wants me to go on the trampoline. Okay, I'm coming. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine with me. I'm just glad you rock with me. Everyone have a blessed one. Stay close to your family. Be in the moment with your family. Don't let time pass you by. Everyone have a blessed one, and until the next one, I'm out.